let's talk a little bit about mobility and how that fits in with strength work. So oftentimes what happens is people will stretch. They're trying to improve range of motion because they want to get better overhead positions for a serve or whatever it might be. The problem then comes though, you stretch, but your range of motion never seems to change. Has anybody ever experienced that? Yeah. Well, the reason being is that the brain doesn't want to give you range of motion that it can't control. So I could sit into a position for 5 minutes, go back and retest my overhead position, and it might have improved. But I come back the next day and I'm straight back into a position where it was the same as it was the day before I started stretching. Now think about what I said before, where the shoulder design is such that we have a high degree of mobility and therefore not much stability. The brain's primary objective is survival, therefore its perception of threat is quite attuned. So if I'm going to go into a position here where I'm not strong, does the brain have confidence in that position or not? Probably not. So the brain then takes that range of motion away to keep it in a state where it can maintain the structural integrity of the joint. So any time where we are trying to improve range of motion, we also need to add strength in order to keep it. I'm going to get you guys to go through some shoulder focus exercises. Again, there are lots of different things that we can do, but let me take you through a couple of cues for that rotator cuff and the scapula. We're going to work through some positions and patterns. Now the easiest way to train the shoulder is to keep the shoulder supported. So when Melanie and I were working together, Melanie will remember this, we start often here because it's easy for the brain to not worry about too much, we're in a safe space. Appreciate for you guys, it's not always going to be possible. So one of the options that we have when we do this with the fence, I'll show you this one in a second, is that we can actually set our cable quite low. And what I might then do is go and sit with the elbow supported on the knee. This gives me, my brain, a little bit less to think about because I'm not having to hold the weight of the shoulder. So this is a really easy way for you guys just to go and warm up that external rotation. I'll give you 2 to play with and then you can have a go at them both. The other way is going to be to go at shoulder height. Now whenever we're going to train the shoulder in these kind of positions, the cue that I want you to think about is backpack on. And what that basically means is, imagine I'm going to set here. I'm not squeezing back, but I just want to get into a position here where I've got a good postural shape and then I'm going to move. The elbow is going to be slightly away from the body. If it's in tight, we get other muscles starting to take over. So backpack on, elbow away, palm's going to go up or in neutral, and all I'm going to go and do is work through. The only bone that should move is this one in the opposite arm, and I'm going to pull outwards. Okay, this is external rotation. So nice and still, we shouldn't be kind of like hiking or rotating through. It's a really easy pattern to move through. Have a go at that one and then try the knee supported position as well. The shoulder needs to move through these different positions and patterns. So sometimes you're going to be playing here, sometimes you're going to be playing overhead. So it makes sense that we have the control and the strength in the shoulder in these different joint angles. This is just an isolated exercise to get the rotator cuff to work harder. In pretty much 99% of cases of shoulder injuries that we see across sports, we have to do something to address the rotator cuff in order to get the shoulder to feel better. We'll actually test it with a dynamometer. So we'll objectively look at the strength and then we can focus very much on how much more strength we need and in what positions we need to gain that strength. But whenever we see an objective strength marker of rotator cuff strength go up, function is higher and pain is less. So the correlation between cuff strength and shoulder pain is like nailed on. So if you've got shoulder pain, take some of this away and just commit to doing something with it, because I promise you, like, what you've got is changeable with a little bit of focus. Sometimes one of the mistakes that people make with shoulder rehab is they use the same band, which looks a bit mangy and horrible because they've had it for 5 years. Same exercise, same band, same thing. Like, the brain and the body will only respond to getting stronger if it's challenged with an appropriate stimulus. So if this is just easy for me, the brain's like, I've got no need to get stronger because I can do the thing that you're asking me to do. If I then go and get a thicker band, because I've got a set of some different options, now I can go and load that harder and the strength gain increases because I'm having to push against more resistance. All right, I'm going to give you one more to have a play around with the cuff. Think about what the shoulder is going to do, right? So I'm going to come from an overhead position. I have to have external rotation to get up, this shape. And when I come down over in a serve, I need internal rotation. I'm going to have to hit the ball forwards with that rotation pattern. Now, internal rotation and strength in itself, we've got some big players that can do internal rotation as well. Pecs and lats love to internally rotate the shoulder. What we're going to focus on is one muscle which sits underneath the scapula, and it controls that humeral head position as we go through that shape. If this anterior rotator cuff muscle is weak, again, we're going to lose the ability to keep the ball in the middle of the socket, and therefore we can run into some problems from a pain perspective. So when we do internal rotation, we're going to put some band tension on, and then my movement with the elbow at 90 degrees away from the body is just to pull up and over. And the cue for you guys on my right is that we have to keep that shoulder on the floor. I'm not allowed to do this because I'm cheating the movement. So shoulder stays still, I pull through, get as much of that range of motion as I can, slowly back down. All of these are done really slowly and really intentionally. For you guys on the left, elbow out into this position, shoulder stays on the ground. Start back here, pull through, pull over, hold, and then back out. If you bought a set of these, I'd use the handles. So my hand would be in this position, but I just didn't have a handle for everybody. If you don't want to lie on the floor because it's the middle of winter and you just want to play, okay, we can do it in here as well. Go back to my original point before, if the brain the brain feels safe and we've got the body supported, I have less to think about controlling. If I go high, it's a more advanced exercise. So start on the floor and then earn the right to do it high.